Hello, everybody. We will present to you a quite unique feature, a regional collective early warning system for Africa and Asia. I'll give you a bit of the background, and then Ramraj here will give you the good stuff, some of the practical applications and benefits. So, what is RIMES? RIMES is the Regional Integrated Multi-Hazard Early Warning System for Africa and Asia, long name. What makes it unique, as I said, that it's owned and operated by the member states. And this was very much an initiative of low capacity countries and small island developing states in the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea. It was established in 2009 under the auspices of ADPC, Asia Disaster Preparedness Center. And up to now, 13 countries have signed full cooperation agreements with RIMES, meaning that they contribute budget to the running of RIMES to receive services back. And it's overall 29 countries that are part of the RIMES framework. So I'll show you here, stretching all the way from Mozambique to Papua New Guinea. The lime-colored countries are those that are full members, that are contributing core budget to RIMES, and the yellow brownish ones are the ones who are collaborating members and processing their procedures for becoming the full members. So just a few words on how RIMES evolved and the rationale. So after the devastating Indian Ocean tsunami, which was recognized, of course, to be a high impact but low frequency event, particularly these low capacity countries in the region and the small island developing states, recognizing that a full end-to-end early warning systems for tsunami would be prohibitively expensive, came together and pushed forward for a system. And just to give you an idea of the cost here, $6 million US dollars with the contribution for ESCAP and Danida, then through ADPC with an operating cost of $2.5 million annually. Just to keep that in mind when we present the benefits of the system later. But again, to make this more cost-effective and sustainable, a multi-hazard approach was taken, not limiting the services to tsunami. So the system as such in no way substitutes national early warning systems, but this is a collective system that, based on the demands of the members, can fill some of the gaps in terms of products and services, depending on the capacity gaps and needs of the member countries. So
I'll speak to you briefly about what RIMES actually does. It provides early warning services to member states so that they can meet the requirements of disaster preparedness, management, and response. How we do that, it's also based on the differing needs and demands of the member states. You could see that the members include very well technically endowed countries such as Thailand, India, and also some very weak capacity countries, you could say Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia. So they have different needs and demands. So we bring that into picture all the time. Now, one of the first activities we do is to facilitate establishment of observation systems. These are not to duplicate national systems, but these are core observation systems which fill some key gaps in the national systems. This slide shows some of the seismic stations which have been set up. These are owned, operated, and managed by the national systems, such as Myanmar, Vietnam, but they also contribute the information to the larger regional and the global networks. These show some of the sea level stations, including in Thailand and Philippines and Vietnam. Again, these contribute the information and data to the global and the regional systems. The RHYMES also provides some regional tsunami watch within the framework of the UNESCO IOC. These show some of the information that can be received. These information are not provided to the public. These are provided to the national information focal points, who actually are responsible for providing the warning and watch information to their public. So we provide capacity or any backup support, whichever is required. These also show some of the products of relating to tsunami, which actually you can see here. It includes the arrival time, the estimated damages in the coastal areas, and the directivity, which is the energy release. RHYMES also supports building the capacities of national meteorological services. Again, this is not to provide warning information directly, but to build capacities in the areas that is required as per the needs and demands. As we speak, we have a few scientists from Lao PDR and Nepal who are undergoing training in RHYMES facility on generating long lead information for cyclones as well as for floods. These are some of the kind of products which are made available to the national services. All these are generated with a specific view of meeting the user requirements, the users being the disaster management focal points or the sectoral agencies which need to apply information for reducing losses of lives and for reducing losses in terms of damages. So we work on these. I show some specific cases. You can see this is a simulation for a cyclone Aila which hit Bangladesh. The information is generated by the center well ahead, up to 72 hours, which is 3 days ahead of the actual landfall. And this information is passed on to the concerned National Meteorological Agency for its application within Bangladesh. Also, on a daily basis, there are some countries which have requested and receive information which goes as inputs for providing forecasts, such as these countries. Like in some countries, especially in Cambodia or in Myanmar, we actually provide continued backup support for generating this forecast information. RHYMES also works at the local levels, the point being that any information which is generated needs to be applied and demonstrated to lead to some tangible benefits and some positive impacts at the community level. So some of these are relatively new for the countries that we work in. So we work on pilot demonstration sites. This slide shows a unique case in Mongolia where we are working with the herder communities. These are nomadic herder communities which actually depend on livestock for their survival, and they get frequently affected by extreme cold weather and wind. So this information that is generated from the center based in Bangkok, Thailand, is provided to the national center in Ulaanbaatar, and which is communicated to the communities. The point specifically I'd like to make is much of the information is probabilistic, which means there is a risk in applying this information directly. There has to be a risk management framework to use this information at the community level. And that is why we work with the communities to understand exactly how they can use information, which is a maybe, which is basically there is a 60% probability or a 70% probability of actually materializing. And the next few slides actually show some of the concrete benefits that are applicable because of early warning. We know it's quite common sense that the longer lead time we provide, that means the sooner we know about an impending event, the better we can prepare. There was a study undertaken as a background paper for a report published by the World Bank, which is called the Unnatural Hazards and Natural Hazards and Unnatural Disasters. Some of these cases were included in that background paper. Now, in Bangladesh, you have very frequent floods and cyclones. If you looked at the case of a Sidar cyclone, the information again was available 72 hours before the actual landfall. And lot of preparedness activities were actually undertaken in Bangladesh because it has a very well equipped system for communicating information and as well as for applying it at the communities. However, if we use it more for saving livelihoods, we can it can result in a saving of several million dollars. So the case being, for every US dollar invested in that system at the national level, there is a saving of 40 US dollars in its benefits. Floods provides an even more compelling case because Bangladesh has floods every year, and a major flood you can say almost every 2 years. So for a US dollar invested in early warning system in floods in Bangladesh, you get a huge return of 500 plus US dollars. Now, the kind of information which can be provided is the basic information that is required are three, which is already provided. One, when is the flood actually going to start, which is the onset? What is the duration of the flood? And when is it actually going to recede? So this information is all that is required. Once this information is provided, by working with the communities, we can actually apply the information to save livelihoods. Now, this shows the agreement of the forecast with the actual floods. So you can see that there is a very good correlation with the observed and the forecast information. Thereby, it's a very robust model. What the point we are trying to make is, it's just science information is not enough. Accurate information needs to be applied at the community level. This is another case. In Sri Lanka, we don't get that major floods every year. The last major flood we had was this year, of course, preceded by 2003. If we did a study, it shows that for the US dollar invested, there is a return of less than $1, which means it's not economical to actually set up a very robust early warning system, completely scientific. It doesn't mean that Sri Lanka should not set it up. It's just that there is a much better case for a collective system which can adopt, which can take over some of the costs. Now, this shows some of the model that we speak of is not only for the Indian Ocean, it also works quite well for the South China Sea and the Pacific. This provides a case for unique typhoon which hit Philippines not once but thrice. It just went back and forth. It made 3 landfalls, you can see, and the model was able to predict it quite well. Again, this is a unique case in the Philippines, which shows 2 cyclones coming almost at the same time, and one of the typhoons actually returning back. Vietnam was mobilized, the coast was mobilized to evacuate, and that resulted in a great loss. The point we are trying to make is that a collective system, a regional system, which can complement national systems, it results in great saving in capital investment, in establishing the system, plus with a minimal running cost of every year, which Edley mentioned, of less than $2.5 million, it can result in great benefits if the information is applied at the community levels. The collective savings for the whole region, because we are covering now 29 countries, could be in the order of several tens of millions of dollars. So this is very briefly the presentation, and our contacts are here. We'd be very happy to answer any questions that you may have now and as well as later. Thank you. I think we have a minute or so if you have any questions. Sorry.
Hello, my name's Chris Bonfilioli from Doctors of the World UK. We're hoping to set up a disaster risk reduction program in Bangladesh later in this year. So I wondered if you had any advice for us about how to go about that.
I think we should have a coffee.
Maybe,
but
yes.
Of course, I'd like to mention that in addition to us, there are a couple of colleagues from the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center who are sitting behind you also. They are, yes, he is the executive director, so they can also provide a lot of information. There is a local office also, but I'd be very happy to discuss in detail. There is a lot of capacity within Bangladesh, and a lot can be done. They have an excellent system of using information down to the community levels. And the Red Crescent Society is very active. So there's a lot that you can do very quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Such system, we are sorry we are coming late at the end of the presentation, but Afghanistan is in the current situation. We need to have close contact with the government of Bangladesh, particularly through the UN or directly with those who are responsible for disaster management, like authority, like how to dealing to bring something like copy or like
Yes.
like have close contact with each other to establish the same system in Afghanistan, because Bangladesh is very close. We can come, and
Correct.
also there is no like the culture barrier in both countries, and this is why we will request also you like how to organize one meeting, maybe here today or tomorrow, to little bit discuss more, and also how to like link with each other for the future. And
Yes, sir. We can do that in several ways. There is a presentation by the Disaster Management Bureau Director General today at the same platform. So here, we can check for the time, I'm not sure. So that is one. You can have a contact straight away. The second one is, again, there are a few regional platforms. One is facilitated by the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, which meets every 2 years. There is a regional consultative committee. So the highest levels, the disaster management heads and the secretaries come there. So that is a good forum for you. Plus, RIMES Council is also a very good forum for actually making this happen, the collaboration. Plus, you can, of course, do bilaterally. And since we already discussed about working in Afghanistan, we could also share some of the experiences, not just from Bangladesh, but also from other countries in the region, which will be relevant for you. Because some of the hazards that you face, such as cold wind, do not actually penetrate to Bangladesh. Some such experience we can get probably from other countries in the region, Mongolia being a typical case. Thank you.